Court will come to order. It is Monday, October the 23rd, 2023 at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the Kerr County Commissioners Court is now in session. If you would, please stand for the prayer and pledge, which will be led by Commissioner Paces.
Heavenly Father, bless this gathering today. Grant us your wisdom and guide us in our decisions on behalf of the people of Kerr County. Shine your light of truth on all contentious issues so that we may be united in our understanding and in our actions. We thank you for all the many blessings you've bestowed upon us and for the beauty of the hill country and our community. Lord, keep our first responders safe and protect our children from all threats. And please send us more rain. Help all who are struggling in this economy and deliver us from evil. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. I ask that everyone please turn your phones off or vibrate so we don't interrupt the proceedings. We always start our regular Commissioners Court meetings with public input. This is an opportunity for us to hear from the public. We ask that you keep your remarks limited to no more than 3 minutes and identify yourself when you go to the podium. We also ask that you not address anything that is on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, we request that you wait till the agenda item is called, and we'll deal with it at that time. Is there anyone who'd like to make public input to the court that is not on the agenda? Good. There being none, we'll move on to commissioner comments. And I guess I'll start. No, I'm going to start it today.
Okay.
We have a new face on the court. This is Ann Overby. We're going to swear her in here in just a little bit. This is her husband, Kerwin, down here on the front row, in his proper place.
Thank you, Ron.
We want to welcome you to the court. And with that, this is the part of our meeting when the commissioners give input from their precincts, what's going on. And so we usually start with one, but we'll omit you today since you have not had the opportunity to catch up on that. So we'll start with Commissioner Craig, Precinct 2.
Okay. Well, for Precinct 2, the burn ban remains lifted. And haven't had a lot of rain here, but maybe we'll get a little bit more today. Certainly praying for it. We had the annular eclipse on Saturday, October 14th. I'm waiting to hear some more official reports on the visitors, but really traffic and parking was not a problem, despite 2 very successful concurrent events, the River Festival and the Chalk Festival. So anyway, in our planning meetings, we'll factor this experience in preparation for the full eclipse in April. During our last regular Commissioners Court meeting, we approved the use of the Hill Country Youth Event Center for a Federal Highway Department presentation on road safety on November 15th. Unfortunately, this event will be canceled and rescheduled sometime in the new year. And otherwise, the only thing, hey, Centerpoint Volunteer Fire Department had a successful fish fry fundraiser last Saturday, and I just wanted to thank everybody who came out to support our VFD. That's it.
Okay. Here's a 3.
A couple of comments. One, kind of as a, hopefully people give me some more information. I know that Atmos Energy has been contacting people in my precinct along Cypress Creek Road. 2 people have received letters that are a little bit forceful, threatening eminent domain, basically. My knowledge, they have not talked to the county, and from where the people that are contacting me, they're going to cross the county right away. So, anybody with Atmos Energy or anyone else in the public that has received any of these letters, I'd appreciate the contact to kind of figure out what's going on. They've been very tight-lipped, as I understand it, to the individuals about what's going on with that. Other comment, back a little bit, read the judge a little bit. He made a comment last Monday about being the face of Kerr County. I can't say that I'm the face of Kerr County, but I can say pretty adamantly that I am the face of Precinct 3 after being elected for 27 years. So, age is not everything. I started when I was in my 30s, I believe. Maybe early 40s. So anyway, enough said on that. Commissioner?
All right. A couple things coming up. This next Saturday, Tierra Linda's having their VFD fundraiser, and they're not in our county, but they help us a whole lot. Also, the following Friday, which should be November 3rd, the Divide School's having their annual fundraiser. out there at the Divide VFD. And I encourage people to go out and help both of these fundraisers. One thing I want to say, kind of chiming in on what Commissioner Letts said about last Monday. I mean, I've had lots of people come up to me all week long with questions, more comments than questions. And I even spoke to Ann a little bit about this beforehand. You know, I'm not ashamed of being white. That's for one thing. That was one of the things. This gray hair, I think I've earned it. With that, hopefully it comes with wisdom. These are all elected positions. The people knew what we looked like before they voted us up here. So that's important. The last two campaigns in Precinct 2 for Commissioner, there's been women that were doing the campaign and they didn't get elected. It was going to be inevitable that we're going to get a woman on court. Everything's been positive towards Ann, and that's not a slight on her. Her credentials, I heard over and over, are outstanding no matter what gender. And so I welcome you aboard. I look forward to working with you. So that's it.
Judge, taking back one thing, that's something I wanted to mention. The sheriff just texted it to me. For those that don't know, Sheriff Letha received a very prestigious award in San Diego.
Yes, sir.
California, somewhere out there. Anyways, the International Association of Chiefs of Police. It's a national award. FBI picks 10 agencies around the world, and Sheriff Letha was one of the 8 out of the United States that was chosen for outstanding work as the Booz Allen Hamilton Leadership Prevention and Terrorism Award. So congratulations, Sheriff.
Congratulations.
Outstanding.
Well done.
Okay, then we'll move on to the consideration agenda. The first item is 1.1, which is to consider, discuss, take appropriate action to set salary for Ann Overby, Commissioner of Precinct 1, as per her appointment on October 16th. The schedule's attached. I believe it's just right at $65,000.
I'm not going to set the salary, base salary for a commissioner, which is base salary $62,600. No, excuse me, $62,639.94. $65,771.94.
Right. Is that a motion?
Which is different.
Okay.
I'll second the motion. Is there any other discussion? We have a motion and a second to set the salary for Commissioner Precinct 1 as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2 is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the bond for County Commissioner Precinct 1. We received that this morning. Kerwin brought it in. I've already reviewed it. It's with the packet to be presented when we do the swearing in. So with that, is there a motion to approve the bond?
move for approval.
We have a motion and a second to approve the bond as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And with that, I want to step down from the bench, ask Ann to step down and get swearing in down on the floor.
Give one to the judge.
Oh, go Judge.
Okay. Kerwin, you going to stand up here?
And that's my mom.
I see the resemblance now.
There you go. Wait till she stands up.
Okay. I've got 2 oaths We're gonna do the unimportant, the less important one first, okay? Get it out of the way. And this one it's the non-corruption oath that the state of Texas requires. Repeat after me. I, state your name,
I, Ann Overby,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I have not directly or indirectly
that I have not directly or indirectly
paid,
paid,
offered,
offered,
promised to pay,
promised to pay,
contributed,
contributed,
promised to contribute
promised to contribute
any money
any money
or thing of value,
or thing of value,
or promised any public office
or promised any public office
or employment
or employment
for the giving
for the giving
or withholding
or withholding
of a vote
of a vote
at the election at which I was elected, or
at the election of which I
This
was
one-
elected,
which you haven't been yet.
Not
but-
yet.
Okay. Or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation,
or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation,
whichever the case may be.
whichever the case may be.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to swear.
I swear.
Okay. If you would sign that, we'll put that in the file.
Okey-doke.
What do I do with my pen?
I've got one. It's too far away. We're going to borrow hers real quick. All right.
Okay. That's housekeeping. That goes with the bond. Now, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I,
I,
Ann Overby,
Ann Overby,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office of County Commissioner Precinct 1
of the Office of County Commissioner, Precinct 1
of the state of Texas,
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I just need you to sign it.
Oh, I can sign it.
You're going to learn there's a lot of paperwork in this job.
There's a lot of paperwork in that.
All right.
Thank you. Those steps are very steep. I reckon you drop them hard. Okay. Then the next item on the agenda is item 1.3, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on a request from the Kerrville Masonic Lodge number 697 to use the courthouse grounds for their 2024 Charity Car Show fundraiser on March 30, 2024.
Good morning, Your Honor, Commissioners. My name is Rodney Arsemus. I'm with the Kerrville Masonic Lodge, and we are a nonprofit organization that wishes to secure approval to use the county grounds, the county courthouse grounds for our annual charity car show. We're requesting the 30th of March, 2024. We are a nonprofit organization. The reason for our fundraisers are to give back to the community. We do annual scholarships for our local high school youth, as well as donate to a majority of other charities, the Fire Pup Program, Salvation Army, and a few others. And we just would like to continue doing this and do it with more vigor.
And by point of clarification, you did this last year, right?
I did, yes, sir. This
So
is our
your
second one.
Second one. And who did you bring with you? I see him sitting there.
This is John Lehman.
Okay.
He is the next in line for succession. As I was the junior guy last year, he'll be taking over next year.
Very good.
Anything specific you need from the county? Electrical?
Just electrical, sir, and then use of the parking lots.
I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second to approve the use of the courthouse fund, the Kerrville Masonic Lodge for the charity car show as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 1.4, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the issue with the traffic mirror on Indian Creek.
Hi, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sean Tennery.
Sean, we need you at the podium.
Oh, there's come back here.
If you would identify yourself, so people on YouTube know who you are.
My name is Sean Tennery, the 135 Indian Oaks Drive, Kerrville, Texas. I own a company here in town called TNT Services. We are a road and dam building company. What I'm here today to ask about or talk about is a traffic mirror that was installed on Indian Creek Road around the 740 block. We have been on this project for about 3 years, and we have increased the traffic on that road by as much as 50 cars a day. When we thought this was going to be a good idea is whenever clients started coming around that corner and having to lock the brakes up and having to make maneuvers and stuff. There's a 90-degree corner on that road that you cannot see all the way right or all the way left on. So we took it upon ourselves to install this mirror, which I have pictures of here, at a point to where both oncoming traffics could see each other before they made the corner to help avoid an accident. So that being said, the reason for it, of course, was to protect our client, our employees, everyone else. About, I guess it's been 2 or 3 weeks ago now, the county came and took the mirror down. The reasoning behind that was, one, of course, we didn't ask for permission to, which we should have now that we're, in this. But we also, when they took the mirror down, there was nothing done to make this problem go away. There's no other solution to the problem. So really what I'm asking for is for us to come to a solution together on what we can do to make this corner safe for my client, my employees, everyone who lives on Indian Creek Road, and just kind of put our heads together and see what we can do.
Okay, thank you. Anybody from Road and Bridge? I think I saw the mirror here.
Yeah, and a second mirror got put up. We took that one down and we went
Kelly, why
out.
don't you go to the podium?
We took,
Robert, you want to get the,
we took the first one down and.
So the public knows, this is Kelly Hopper.
I'm the road administrator. We went out Friday with the county engineer, Robert, myself, and the county engineer, and they had installed another mirror after we told them that you can't install that. So this is the one we took down, and as of Friday at 3:30, there's another one, and it's mounted on a tree. It's a lag bolt through the tree. So we've looked at it. We're trying to finish up our seal coat program. I've spoke with Robert on this, which is one of the crew chiefs. We do need to do some brush cutting out there, and then we are going to add some advanced warning signs for the curve. I think we just got approval end of last week with the county engineer on the advisory curve sign. So those are the things that we are going to do at this location. But these are not supported in the MUTCD, which is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. You will not find these in that guide. And that guide is a federal guide on what signs you should be putting up. And these mirrors, they can be used like in commercial building areas where you've got a lot of buildings close together on private property, but they are not supported to be mounted on county roads or state roads, any of them. So we only put up signs that are supported through the MUTCD, and these are not. If we did allow these, they would have to be on a breakaway pole, but we do not allow them. We just received a phone call from a man that lives a little bit farther up from this location, and we told that man no. So that was just a few weeks ago. And then Robert went out to check on the cattle guard because some of the pipes, the welds were broken, which we assumed probably from the heavy equipment coming across the cattle guard. And that's when he noticed the mirror. So he came back in, reported it, and then he went out a few days later to remove it. So there is one currently up again. It's at this location. It's not.
And do you propose to take that one down?
Yes.
Has there been any discussion with Mr. Tenery or any of his associates?
He came in on the first one and wanted his mirror back, and I said, we generally do not give things that people place within the county's right of way back. So I had suggested that he call Commissioner Harris, which he did. And then, like I said, we went out there on Friday, and another one had been installed again after I told him that we don't allow those installed in our right of way.
And what is your recommendation to this court?
My recommendation is to remove the second one that's out there and get some brush cut out there and put up these advanced curved signs. It's a narrow road. It basically is a driveway to a couple pieces of property in the back. I think the pavement width, Robert, what is it, 14, 15 feet?
14, 15.
Yeah. Probably a road that probably should not have been this back portion taken in for county maintenance when it was taken in, because it basically is like a driveway. Another thing the county engineer had suggested, that maybe they want to gate some of this back property and the county no longer maintain, and then if they want to put up, a mirror back there, they can do, whatever they want if the property owners back there want to do that, but then the county will no longer maintain that road. That was suggested as an option.
And do I understand correctly that your office remains ready, willing, and able to sit down and discuss anything with concerns?
Yes.
Mr. Tenery, what do you propose?
I would like to keep the mirror there until we come to the conclusion of what is going to actually happen, until we get the other signs installed, until we get the poles removed, just to keep that piece of road safe until the county has taken action on the other side of that. I would like to talk to my clients down there and talk about taking the road over and get it out of the county jurisdiction, because she's right. I mean, it is really a pain in the butt for the county, just that little stretch down there. And we have tried to do as much as possible. When the cattle guard breaks or something, we fix it. When foliage falls out in the road, we clean it up. So we've been doing a lot of maintenance there already, so it really wouldn't be that big.
But you understand you need to comply with the requirements of our Road and Bridge Administration.
Yes, sir.
Sure do. So I don't see any action to be taken other than you want to visit with Ms. Hopper, make an appointment, and y'all sit down and discuss this, and if you have other recommendations to bring to us, we'll hear them.
Judge, comment is that, I don't know if we have to take action or not, but I think it's important that our roads follow safety guidelines.
Absolutely.
And the mirror needs to come down and stay down if it's not, something that's prescribed by safety manual, the federal safety manual that we follow and TxDOT follows. Because if there's an accident now and we do something contrary to that manual, then I think there could be some issues. So to me, I think the let's encourage Kelly to do what they want, what she's proposing, which is clear some brush and put up some signage, which is the same as we had, same situation. In this situation, each of our precincts have numerous roads that have probably 93 corners that are like
Tough.
I certainly do have quite a few. So I think we need to be consistent, follow the safety standards, and they don't allow these mirrors. We take the mirrors down. I think you should give them back to Mr. Tenery. I mean, I don't.
I just have one question, Kelly. What's the speed limit?
It is, on the back part, it is, I believe, 30 miles an hour. On the back there.
The other concern too that Robert had brought up is at night, don't know if you have two cars, if it catches it right, that, it may blind the other driver with the headlights. Don't know, but.
I don't want to get into the speculation of all this stuff. I want to follow the rules. And you're following the rules. Mr. Tenery, you understand the dilemma that we're facing.
Yes, sir.
We need to comply with rules, because if we don't, then we could be the subject of a complaint that we did something that was unsafe.
Correct.
So that's why I encourage you to sit down and visit with Ms. Hopper, see if y'all can work out. But at the end of the day, we're going to follow her recommendation. So that's my position.
Just one other little thing I want to add is that, you know, we have county maintained roads and subdivision and stuff. Sometimes people put huge rocks and different stuff they think is ornamental. It ends up in our right of way, and they can be held liable for somebody runs off the road and hits them and stuff like that. And I know that we've taken them up before. We don't give the rocks back or whatever else it might be. You know, we ask people to take them out, and if they don't in a timely manner, then we have to send people out to collect them and stuff like that. So that's just my 2 cents.
So we're not taking any action? We're just going to refer you to the Road and Bridge Department, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
That will be. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is item 1.5, which is consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve contract with not volunteer fire department. These are routine. This one just come due. So I make a motion that we approve the volunteer fire department contract with VSD.
Second.
That motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 1.6. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to amend the court order number 39721, liaison appointments for 2023, to update liaison duties to include Commissioner Overby. And if you look at the attachment, I have visited with everyone affected except Commissioner Overby. And you'll learn that as the new person on the court, you get what's left over.
Exciting.
Well, I think you're going to find that these are actually very reasonable. We're talking about adding Commissioner Overby with Commissioner Letts for Animal Services, because he's going to rotate off the court, and we need to have somebody with eyes on what we're doing over there. We also wanted to, this is a recommendation, I sat down and visited with Commissioner Harris and Commissioner Paces about this, and this is our recommendation. We want to add Commissioner Paces to the HR Indigent Services with Commissioner Letts for that transition period also. On IT, you're the youngest on the court, so we're looking at Commissioner Overby to help us with IT. Oh, the courthouse security, it stays with Commissioner Paces. Oh, didn't change it?
Yeah, you changed it. This is the second one.
I'm not sure what else, yeah, but no one's talking to me about any of these. And I don't believe y'all can meet and talk about them without outside of court.
That's true.
You can change it if you want.
Well,
I don't have any problem with what you said so far.
And let me just finish going through them. We talked about Overby for courthouse security.
Suggestions.
These are suggestions. We're not doing anything. We talked about IT. Commissioner Paces stays with investments. Commissioner Harris stays with maintenance. Commissioner Paces stays with environmental. Commissioner Harris will take over public relations. And Commissioner Paces keeps victim services. Commissioner Harris will take over 911. And this is heads up, I learned this the hard way. We never say 911. It's 911. Yes. ACOG is I do ACOG. I'm the vice chair of ACOG right now. You would be the alternate. And Commissioner Pace can stay with the aggregate production operations. And I'm unable to attend the airport board because it directly conflicts with the ACOG meeting. So we're talking about having Commissioner Paces is asked to serve on that with Commissioner Letts. And then on city fire EMS, that was a blue function that we asked Commissioner Overby to take over. Paces would stay with the Eclipse Roundtable. Commissioner Letts and I would stay with Economic Development. Commissioner Harris would stay with Extension. Commissioner Harris would stay with the Youth Event Center. Commissioner Overby would be the Historical Commission. And I will remain liaison with the MHDD board, with the Sexual Assault Response Team, and Commissioner Paces will be the liaison with volunteer fire departments. That's just a suggestion.
And you said animal services too?
Yes. And now, we talk about it. We don't have to do any action today. What we're trying to do is we're trying to take Commissioner Blue's liaison positions, rearrange what the more senior commissioners are interested in, and then provide for your duties. And we average about, well, I think it's about 5 or 6 liaison responsibilities for each one of us. And what the duty for the liaison commissioner is to report back. We have a little part of the agenda here, just a little bit at the end, where we have liaison reports. And that is to keep the court informed, because we can't talk about all these things without violating the Open Meetings Act outside a public meeting. And when we have a public meeting, liaisons can report what's going on in your area. If there's an animal service thing going on or an IT thing going on, you can let us know so we have a heads up. So we'll pass on that.
Well, let's hear some input from him if he had.
I'm fine with that. I don't have any problem, just that, talk to everybody, you can talk to me. But I don't know that you pass on it, because,
I know there are appointments and I can do them.
no, they're not appointments you can do, Judge. I'm sorry. It's a court decision to make this. It has been historically, it would be created. But, I think that it makes sense to do it now, so
Right.
there's not any voids. And usually we do it in January, and we're doing it in 2 months early. I have no problem with any of them. I think it's pretty much in line with what I was thinking we would do in January before all this happened. Because I do want to try to start winding down and get other people on the ones that I'm on, so that there's continuity in a year and 2 months. So I make a motion to approve the list as outlined.
I second that.
Judge, can I make a request for an addition either now or in the future for the bail bond board? If you could,
Yeah, we don't have that on here.
no, sir. So by occupations code, you are on the bail bond board, but you can appoint somebody in your replacement, and currently it is Commissioner Ballou, or part of the board, sorry.
Sounds like Mr. Otherby to me.
Welcome aboard. And this isn't so bad, but if you miss one, Commissioner's Court, boy.
You don't want to come to the next commissioner meeting for this one. Okay.
Motion, second.
Yeah, motion is second. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We've got a bunch of timed items that we're not to yet, so we have to go over the untimed items,
Not many.
which takes us to the approval agenda. Caught the auditor by surprise on that one.
Yeah.
You did.
And just an explanation, when an item is timed, you take that item as close to that time as you can. And untimed items, you'll see, do not have time to decide on. So when everything, all the other items on the agenda today are timed, so that's what we're going to approve of. So we'll call for 2.1, budget amendments.
You have 3 budget amendments in front of you. They're line item adjustments, and the Economic Development Corporation fees were a little bit higher than what we'd anticipated. And then so were Saver's fees for the Lake Ingram bond.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the budget amendments as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2.2, pay bills.
Yes, invoices for today's consideration, $2,373,881.60.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the late bills, or pay the bills as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2.3, late bills.
There are not any.
2.4, auditor reports.
Yes, you have received the internal audit report for the district clerk, Don Lance, and we ask that you accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the auditor report as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Monthly reports.
Yes, for September 2023, Environmental Health, OSSF, Director Ashley Batters, Environmental Health, OSFF, amended, Director Ashley Batters, Treasurer's Payroll Report, Tracy Sullivan, Environmental Health and Animal Services Director Reagan Gibbons. Revised Investment Portfolio Summary, April 1st, 23 through June 30th, 2023. And Veteran Services, Jenna Sanchez. I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second to approve the monthly reports as presented. Any discussion? I want to commend Commissioner Harris. In the last 5 years, as the youngest, we should have done something about this before.
I don't know what's coming up, but
Well, the youngest should be reading the reports, that's what I'm saying.
It's always been done. It's always been precinct four's always done.
is that right?
I'm fine with you doing it.
Yeah. We'll have to get somebody to do the court orders before long, though.
So on these monthly reports, we have a motion and a second to approve it. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Court orders.
We have the court orders from our October 10th meeting, 40259 through 40280. They all look to be in order. I'll make a motion to approve.
We've got a motion and a second to approve the court orders as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. We'll move on over to the information agenda, status reports from department heads.
I just wanted to follow up with the court, our equipment auction was on Saturday, and we sold everything, and the total, doesn't have Trey's cut taken out yet, but the total was $327,000. I was told that any of the people from Road and Bridge, they had a couple pieces of equipment they thought they might bid on. They said the bids got so high on this stuff that, so $327,000 is pretty good. And I think it's 38 or 39 pieces of equipment. So we're gonna get stuff sent over to HR for the insurance. We've worked with Ilda from the auditor's office to get it out of the inventory. So that ought to help out a little bit, but we were real pleased that $327,000.
And I understand that everything's supposed to be picked up and hauled off by sometime tomorrow?
That's my understanding. I think most of it was already taken.
Sure.
So,
Good.
Any other department head reports? We're going to 3.2, status reports from elected officials. Ms. Solon?
I just want to point out the revised investment report that you all just approved. I wanted to point out the Shriner Investments portion of it and give a little background because I know that there are some members of the court that are not familiar with it. So the trust account for the Shriner Road Fund was set up in 1920 in the amount of $175,000, and for this amount to stay in its entirety and the interest earned to be used for roads in precincts 1 and 4. I won't, if you're interested, I'll share with you what the actual trust agreement said, but Charles Shriner donated the money and wanted those roads to be maintained from his property into town. All of this being said, by the end of 2019, the principal balance was below the original trust amount of $175,000 due to low interest rates, not generating enough interest to cover the service fees that the bank was charging to manage the fund. So the court had that trust agreement resolved and moved the investment of funds under the control of the county treasurer. The fund balance at the time was $165,765.80 in December of 2019. As of June 30th, that report that you have there, $9,251.22 in interest has been earned, bringing the trust account balance up to $175,017.02. So we're back in the black, and any interest earned from this point forward in the future can be used for road maintenance.
Any questions? That was one of the curious things I learned one of the first meetings we had. I didn't even know the Shriners donated that money. And it's for precincts 1 and 4. Okay, any other elected officials? Then 3.3, status reports from liaison commissioners.
Yeah, I want to say that we just posted a temporary position out at Extension, and I encourage people to look at that if they're looking for a short-term employment. Also, I'd encourage people to look at our website as far as jobs all the time. We always have some listed. So it's a good place to send people to try to find work.
I already talked about the events of interest, but.
Okay. We're actually 5 minutes ahead of where we need to be. Let's take a short recess for 5 minutes.
have a list. I have a list.
Before we finish up on liaison reports, on the 3.3, I wanted to advise the court that we've been working on KDC, we've been working with the city on the need to improve Al Mooney Road, right there beside where Mooney be able to accommodate heavier traffic, keep the heavy traffic away from the schools. That will be put on the agenda for the next Commissioners Court meeting, but I want to give everybody a heads up on it. And I forgot, so we're doing that to start back up.
It's the same project we talked about in executive session
Right.
last meeting.
Okay, so with that, the next agenda item is 1.7, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding paper ballots. Colonel Kramer.
My name is legally John Kremen, I go by Jack. I'm asking the Commissioners Court to discuss and provide only paper ballots signed by an election judge to be hand-marked for the November election, with the exception of ADA voters. Most Kerr County voters that I know and have talked to would like more transparency to ensure election integrity. One logical step is to continue to provide paper ballots. I understand paper ballots have already been ordered. Paper ballots ensure transparency and a good audit trail. Texas Election Code, Chapter 127, Section 127.201 requires a partial manual count of electronic ballots to ensure accuracy of the tabulation of the electronic voting, and requires a manual count of all the races. Of course, there is some additional fine-tuning in that regulation. I recommend a hand count for this non-individual race as a test bed for future elections. Trust but verify, famous quote by Ronald Reagan. That's why I'm asking for paper ballots as a Kerr County recipient. My final assignment in the Air Force was the Inspector General of two commands, United States Space Command and NORAD. Military service leaders rely on accurate and timely inspections, both on scheduled and no-notice evaluations. During my 5 years as the Inspector General, I traveled worldwide to trusted units. With the team, I had two separate teams testing and verifying the performance of both personnel and equipment. I have witnessed electronic equipment fail and given erroneous results. Military commanders rely on accuracy to make proper decisions. In Kerr County, I hope we can have paper ballots to continue to do the accuracy and transparency through paper ballots supported by tabulated electronic equipment. Harris County just recently had a problem with their elections. Hope we don't have that here. Thank you.
Okay, I believe we have a couple people that want to speak. Fred Henneke.
Fred Henneke, 2595 Van Derrick Highway, Cookville, Texas, 78028, Precinct 2. I'm confused by this agenda item because, I believe as Mr. Cummins pointed out, we use paper. We can go to vote after you're qualified, typically by showing your driver's license, which is one of the approved IDs. You're given an array of 3 paper ballots and you choose one. And you go to your cubicle and you mark them yourself. And then you take them to the tabulator. And if you've done it correctly, it's gone. It goes into the tabulator. The paper ballot itself falls down into the box. And the paper ballot is there for an audit. Should audit be necessary? So I'm not sure what about paper ballots that we use aren't paper ballots. Confused here by this, I would request to use paper ballots because used didn't count.
Except for the ADA.
Except for the ADA. The ADA requires that there be an electronic machine for people who are handicapped and cannot mark their own individual ballot in the hand. The last time I was an election judge, I think we had like 470 some odd votes in the precinct I was administering. I think approximately 31 used the electronic voting machine. All the rest were hand voted. So I don't understand the request when I'm here to emphasize that the election department does a superb job. There's no complaints, there never have been any complaints. This to me seems to be following a pattern of a solution in search of a problem. Another analogy I would throw out there is a broken record. And it just keeps repeating itself, and never goes any further. So I support hand ballots, paper ballots. I support the use of the electronic machines from ART because they have proven over years and years of use that they are respectable, durable, accurate, and legal. And I see no reason why there's any justification for changing the system that has been tried and true since at least 2008. So, paper ballots are what we use. Paper ballots are what we should continue to use. And we should continue to have open, accurate, legal, and accurate elections. Thank you, gentlemen. And this open.
Next is Alicia Bell.
Alicia Bell in Precinct 1. I'm asking the court to go ahead and approve 100% paper ballots for those that are not ADA. We really would like to have sequentially numbered ballots so that, you know, suitcases, not saying that that's going to happen here, but we need to have sequentially numbered ballots so that there cannot be any additional ballots, you know, that is inserted in there without us knowing about it. We need to know exactly how many ballots are in. If you use the electronic, you don't know exactly how many people have voted. This needs to be 100% auditable, and electronic is not auditable. As I said in the past, I used to work for the military entrance processing station, testing people on the ASVAB going into the military. We use scanning machines. I'll tell you what, those do not have accurate counts. We had to recount tests all the time. Those are scanners. Ballot image, you know, the electronic can always change something. We need to have auditable elections. And if you have 100% electronic or partial electronic besides the ADA, that's not auditable. Thank you.
Yeah, just a comment. I mean, at this point, we can't change our system period because, I mean, aren't we in early voting right now?
Yes, sir.
We can't change the system during the voting. And
Well, they can choose all. You can choose to have 100% paper ballots. They can already
But
they can
people
choose
have already
100%
voted.
paper ballots.
Anyway, well, if they have and they use the touchscreen, then we have to accept those votes. I think the intent here was just to minimize the use of the Verity DRE, which is the direct report electronic touchscreen voting machines, because they don't have a paper ballot. They don't generate a paper ballot. Bob Reeves presented to the court, I think it was back in March, that there's a requirement to go to that in 2026, but we're not there yet. And, I think, as Fred Hedden has talked about, he supports paper ballots. I think the vast majority of our citizens and voters support paper ballots. It's not a significantly onerous burden on voters to have to fill in the little squares or bubbles or whatever to vote. So the whole idea is just to eliminate the direct report electronic touchscreens that don't generate an auditable paper trail.
Can I address the court, please?
Yes, please.
Please, David.
I wasn't gonna ask you to if you hadn't yourself.
In regards to paper ballots.
Identify who you are.
Yeah, sorry, Nadine Alford, Elections Department, Tax Office. In regards to paper ballots, we do use paper ballots.
Yes.
and they are audible. We do a partial manual count when the state tells us to count precinct 1, 2, 3, we do that. We cannot count, of course, the DREs, that is correct. If we go to the newer system that we have to have for DREs for handicapped voters in 26, that creates a paper ballot, which will then go into the scanner, which will be counted, and then that paper is auditable. But we do use paper ballots. We are one of the only paper ballot counties in the state of Texas.
I think Bob presented in March that 18% of the ballots from 2022 were using the DRE touchscreen.
Yes.
The rest were all paper ballots, and that's great.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, to say we are not a paper county, we are a paper county.
Sure.
The ballots are numbered one, they start with 1 in precinct 1 and go to how many ballots I voted.
Maximize paper ballots.
And that. But they are audible and everything.
And Nadine, don't the Verity Duo, the ADA compliant, they actually print the paper ballot. Right?
Yes, sir, they will vote on the electronic because a disabled person has to be able to vote independently.
And we already have all those?
And we have that, all we have to do is convert it to where we put in a piece of paper, it puts what the voter has voted on the ballot, and then they can take that ballot and put it into the scanner.
So is there any real implication if we stop using the DREs?
Well, we have to have the DREs, we can't stop it,
Why?
because the state requires us to have a DRE available for a handicapped person. But I can't
It has to be
determine.
a DRE, it can't be the Verity Duo?
No, it can be that once we get the Verity Duo, that replaces the DREs. That is the DRE. Because that
We don't have
person,
those yet.
no, we do not have those yet. We have to purchase those.
I'm all for
And once it becomes a duo, then a handicapped person who's blind can put the headphones on it, they can vote it, and then put in the piece of paper, it prints the ballots, and then they go over to the scanner and put it in the scanner to be counted.
Thank you.
I guess one last question, Nadine.
Yes, sir.
Do we give people the option to use the DREs other than ADA, or do they have to request it, or how does that work?
We give them the option if they want to use the ADAs, the DREs and that.
Even if they're not disabled?
Yeah, because I cannot determine that. It's not my job to determine if they're
So
disabled
if
or
they
not.
ask?
There's a lot of people who come from other counties, and that's all they used were those electronic machines. That's what they want to vote on. And that's what they're comfortable with, and that's what they want to vote on. So they have that option. If they don't want to vote electronic and they want a paper ballot, they can vote a paper ballot.
Just to reiterate Ms. Alford's, we cannot ask, what is your handicap? I don't think the court wants to defend us on that.
Okay. Done, the elections are? Quit talking about this.
Okay. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is 1.8. This is a public hearing that I'm convening to abandon, vacate, and discontinue Tucker Street in exchange for the dedication of a recreational easement for the adjacent landowner to the city of Purvis for the Veterans Pathway Sidewalk Project, Precinct 2. Commissioner?
Public hearing.
Say, it's a public hearing. Anybody want to talk? Commissioner, this is former Commissioner Mosley.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Tom Moser, 218 Yorktown Boulevard. I fully support the proposed action by the court to vacate that land so that it better enables the Veterans Pathway from the hospital all the way down to River Trail. A pathway on Maldonado property. I think that Jonathan Lest is the one that suggested this, which I think was really good. I hope that this can get passed, and we can vacate that land so we can work a deal with Maldonado to enable that pathway in an area that's better for the veterans. On that subject, let me iterate one more time, if I may. This project has been proposed probably about 4 years ago. This last year, we've been working diligently on it. 5 entities have been involved in this. The county leading the project, paying for it, the city, TxDOT, Veterans Hospital, and Maldonado. So it's been a good joint effort. We've had a committee that's worked it very effectively. I would encourage Commissioners Court to move on as fast on this project as possible. We'd hoped to have it open by November the 11th. That's not going to happen. And I'll remind you that the Empire State Building was built in a little over 1 year. So we need to get off the dime, and I know there's hurdles we have to go through with the funding. Appreciate that. But hopefully an announcement can be made on November the 11th that the project is going to take place, and if we get through with this, vacating this land, move to the next step, that would be great. So thank you very much.
And to echo your sentiments, this project is long overdue. Okay, item 1.9, I'll adjourn the public meeting. We'll move on to item 1.9, which is consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the acknowledgement of construction completion of private roads and drainage in the release of letter of credit number 92200116952, issued by Cadence Bank in Tupelo, Mississippi, in the amount of $23,528.56 for the said private roads and drainage associated with the WYO headquarters subdivision. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. The final plat for WYO Ranch headquarters subdivision was approved February 13th, 2023. It contains 25 large tracts, over 100 acres each, with 2 newly constructed private roads and drainage to be maintained by the developer and or the homeowner association. Letter of credit number 92200116952 in the amount of $495,888 with Cadence Bank, Tupelo, Mississippi, was submitted as a financial guarantee for associated subdivision construction. It was recently reduced to $23,528.56 as construction was nearing completion. A final walkthrough of the subdivision was conducted by the Kerr County Engineering Department on October the 3rd, 2023, and construction of the private roads, privately maintained, and the associated drainage, and establishment of vegetation to control erosion was complete and in compliance with Kerr County subdivision regulations at that time. And I might add that the developer's contractor, who is a local contractor, Ed Yinsky, they are really good at establishing vegetation back. They put topsoil down everywhere, and they come in and they drill seed. They use a drill seed, and so that seed gets put down in the dirt a little deeper than just broadcast seed. They don't use hydromulch. And they did it right before they knew there was a rain coming. And in 2 weeks, we had full grass cover. And that was in stage 4. So I know we've recently jumped into stage 3, but they know what they're doing, and we'd like to see some of our out-of-town contractors follow suit. So, county engineer requests the court consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the acknowledgement of construction completion of private roads and drainage in the WYO Ranch headquarters subdivision, and release letter of credit number 92200116952 issued by Cadence Bank, Tupelo, Mississippi, in the amount of $23,528.56 for the said private roads and drainage. The private roads and drainage will be maintained by the developer and or the homeowners association, precinct 4.
I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second to approve the release of the letter of credit in the WYO Ranch headquarters subdivision as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go on to item 1.10, which is another public hearing. I'll convene for a revision of plat for Kerr Country Estates, Section 2, lots 35A and 35B. Mr. Hastings.
Is this one the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody, we're going to hear from Charlie in just a minute. Anybody else want to address the court? There being none, the meeting is adjourned. Move on to the next item, which is 1.11. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action regarding a revision of plat for Treasure Hills Ranch, tracks 17R, 19A, and 19B.
This proposal revises 3 tracks into 2 tracks. The public hearing was held on October the 10th, 2023. Track 17R, 8.53 acres. tract 19A, 5 acres, and tract 19B, 5 acres, will be revised into tract 17S, 7.23 acres, and tract 19R, 11.28 acres. A portion of tract 17R was granted to the owners of tracts 19A and B, and this proposed plat revision completes the process. Tract 17S will front Treasure Hills Road. Tract 19R will have frontage on Treasure Hills Road and Highway 16. County engineer requests the court consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the revision of plat for Treasure Hills Ranch, tracts 17R, 19A, 19B, volume 5, page 397, and plat file number 21-04603, precinct 1.
So Charlie, does tract 17S, which is going to be 7.23 acres, does that already have a well on it?
Yes,
In the residence?
I believe so.
And then tract 19R at 11 acres, that's going to be developed, and they can drill a well on that since it's beyond the groundwater's 10 acres.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and a second to approve the revision of plat for Treasure Hills Ranch as presented. Any discussion?
First thing I looked to see if Gene Williams signed it, he had.
I agree.
Okay,
Wanted to be sure.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Item 1.12, consider, discuss, take appropriate action.
Back on the point though, I think it's an interesting point though. We just set a precedent on less than 10 acres for a lot. I mean, they signed it over at Headwaters, but it's I know there's a well on it, but still, it just seems like I see a train wreck coming down the road. We're approving things less than, and they're agreeing to it, but, it just seems really strange to me.
I think the real implication was for the other tract that hadn't been developed, it's now 11 acres.
Right.
So it can be.
It's just,
And they did reduce the number of lots.
Yeah.
yeah.
They could have done nothing
Yeah,
and
this
gotten,
happened.
and been able to drill wells on all.
I think this is good, this makes total sense, but we just approved a new, Headwaters agreed to a new subdivision with less than 10 acres with a well. Well's there, but it shouldn't make any difference. Anyway, okay. Now off my soapbox.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 1.12, which is to consider, discuss, take appropriate action to authorize the county engineer and the grant coordinator to issue an RFQ, a request for qualifications for engineering and grant administrative services for the following flood mitigation grant programs. 1 is flood mitigation assistance. 2 is the building resilient infrastructure and communities. 3 is the hazard mitigation grant program. And 4 is the flood infrastructure fund. And authorize a selection review committee to rate and select competing respondents. Mr. Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. Kerr County is in need of an engineering consultant to assist in developing grant applications to fund flood mitigation projects, as well as to provide engineering and grant administrative services for those applications that receive funding. A selection review committee would also need to be appointed by the court to review submitted qualifications and give recommendations to the court of whom to select for an engineering contract. In the past, these selection committees have consisted of various combinations of the following: county engineer, county attorney, county auditor, county grant coordinator, 1 or 2 commissioners, and sometimes even the county judge. The RFQ will need a quick response time, as some of the grant submittals are due in January of 2024. To compensate for the short time frame, once the committee makes a selection, it will be brought to the court to authorize a contract with an engineer and also authorize submittal of grant applications. We would anticipate having the RFQs that they respond back. I believe I've worked with the grant coordinator, and I do need the court to authorize me to continue working with her and authorize her to work on this. I know that's how that process works. That's what we're coming to you for. I have been working with Noel on this. And the schedule would be that RFQs would be due to her November the 16th. I believe that's a Thursday. She would then send it out to the committee the very next day, on the 17th, that Friday. And then the committee would need to look at things, maybe over the weekend, and come back on either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving, to make a recommendation and bring it to the court after Thanksgiving to make an award on November, I believe, the 27th.
So this is a very expedited effort.
It would be expedited. The two precincts that we have already identified that need flood mitigation are 2 and 3. I would recommend to the court to have the committee consist of the grant coordinator, myself, county engineer, and the commissioners of precincts 2 and 3. And if there's anyone else that you wanted to add to look at these RFQs, those are my recommendations.
Charlie, one question. What do you expect the cost to be for this engineering service?
This service, at this point, we've got it in the RFQ that we're making it clear that we need to award to an engineer that would then, if we're successful in securing a grant, they would be our engineer for that work. So this would be pro bono on them at this point. If during the RFQ process and the award, and if talking to an engineer, they're like, no, we really want to get paid for the grant application, then we would bring that to the court and let you know that also. But I've seen these, sometimes they work where they are confident in what they're applying for, and they know they're going to get something eventually, and they're willing to put the grant applications together up front, knowing that they will get the engineering work.
Generally, their fee then will come out of the grant.
Right.
But work that they do before the grant cannot be reimbursed by the grant.
That's the kind of question.
Maybe. Well, we do have money for a line item for flood. We may have to reduce it to what, 100,000 in the budget? Or
I think so.
Yeah. So anyway, there is some funding there if we need it.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion. Let's see, to authorize the county engineer and grant coordinator to issue a request for qualifications for engineering and grant administrative services for flood mitigation grant programs.
As presented.
As presented.
And the review committee consists of?
Yeah, and the review committee consists of the county engineer, the grant coordinator, and the commissioners for precincts 2 and 3.
I second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
The only discussion would be if we could, is that gonna work to get together those couple of days before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 1.13, consider discussing and take appropriate action to surplus office furniture from the district court's office and sheriff's office. Ms. Mendoza.
Good morning. So I have, from the district clerk's office, there's a filing cabinet and 3 chairs, and the sheriff's office is asked to surplus 3 chairs. They're all broken, need a belt.
I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second to approve surplusing the office furniture as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 1.14, consider discuss take appropriate action to surplus 3 pieces of heavy equipment from the Road and Bridge Department. Ms.
So
Mendoza.
there's 3 pieces of heavy equipment. There's a Caterpillar motor grader, Caterpillar pneumatic roller, and a Caterpillar wheel loader.
Are we gonna make us to approve surplusing 3
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve surplusing these 3 pieces of heavy equipment as presented.
Just a question for Kelly. I mean, is there a reason why I know we're trading these in on new equipment. Is that a better deal for us than auctioning them off like we just went through?
Yeah, I believe so, because the motor grader, they're giving us 70,000 and it's 21 to 22 years old. The pneumatic roller's a 2009, so 14 to 15 years old. They're giving us 16,000, and the 2004 Cat 924 GZ wheel loader, 19 to 20 years old, they're giving us 50,000. So it's a pretty good trade-in.
Fair enough. You've got a motion and a second to approve the trade-in of this heavy equipment. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
carries. Move on to item 1.15, consider, discuss, take appropriate action with the Commissioners Court approval for the Road and Bridge Department to purchase 3 new pieces of heavy equipment and trade-ins. Ms. Hoffman.
Before you is 3 purchasing agreements with Holt Caterpillar to purchase 3 pieces of heavy equipment along with the 3 like trade-ins that were just surplused here in court by the auditor's office. At this time, I ask the Commissioners Court for their final approval to purchase the 3 listed pieces of heavy equipment along with the trades and have the county judge sign the same, precinct 1, 2, 3, and 4.
And this is equipment we discussed during the budget process and everything.
Yes, sir.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the sale, or the purchase of heavy equipment and trade-in as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor,
Are we
okay.
gonna finance this, we're gonna issue a,
Yes, this follows, I believe it was the last meeting, y'all approved buying this now to be reimbursed. The county will be reimbursed upon the funding of the note for the debt.
And Tanya, it should just be like you and I spoke, just these 3. I think everything else, it's gonna take a while to get, so.
okay, that's all.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the purchase of this equipment with trade-ins. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 1.16, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to go out for annual bids for road materials. Ms. Hoffman.
We are asking the court to give authorization for us to go out for our annual bids for road materials. We will come back to the court to open bids on November 27th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve going out for annual bids for road materials as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 1.17, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to approve the interlocal contract for licensing South Central Planning and Development Commission software. Import data from SAFE software to My Government Online. Ms. Batters.
That's a time that I had an earning.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll take a recess until 10:30. We have nothing else we can do.
Okay.
Come back to order. Next item on the agenda is a timed item at 10:30, which is item 1.17, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the interlocal contract for licensing South Central Planning and Development Commission software. Import data from SAFE software to My Government Online. Ashley Babbage.
Yes, good morning, Court. So this is, we're asking for approval for the contract with South Central Planning and Development Commission software, also known as My Government Online. And this is to get the process going to import our data that we have with our current software program to the new one. It is an approved budget item, and I've had the county attorney review the interlocal agreement, and she has approved it.
Actually, this isn't the deal that we discussed a while back about people would input their information from outsiders. This is just in-office stuff.
This would allow the public to be able to submit things electronically online. So it's able to digitize the department.
Do they have to submit it online electronically?
Well, the goal is to have it done electronically.
Is this the one we heard a lot of?
This is the one the city uses.
Yes, and then we heard
Yes.
a lot
Well,
of.
there's lots of counties that use
Yeah.
it. I've reached out to a lot of other departments, agencies for OSS staff within the county or state of Texas that have implemented and got some feedback, and a lot of them actually have not had much problems with the system. And I've talked to a lot of the professionals that work in our county and other counties that have used the system and said that it's actually really easy to use. Yes, there's always going to be a learning curve when you first get something new for the employees and maybe for the constituents, but it should be a very simple process, hopefully. And then we will be having some how-to videos for the public to watch if they need steps on instructions on how to import information. And if they need assistance, we would still be able to assist them. They can always come into our office for assistance as well.
How many applications do we get a year?
On average, about 350.
350. I mean, I'm not wild about that system, but I have used it, and I don't find it particularly easy. And but I also understand that a lot of life these days goes to having to buying football tickets to a away game. You have to go online and do it nowadays, which is something else I don't like doing, but you have to, I guess, change the time. To me, it has to be a voluntary system. Definitely not mandatory if the members of the public want to use it.
Especially if it has bugs,
Yeah.
and maybe a year from now it's cleaned up and simpler, but I've heard about a lot of it from you, that it's not user-friendly. And, I see a guy out in his pickup trying to do something on his phone and having headaches.
So, I say I don't mind it as a voluntary program, but not as a mandatory. What's the cost?
Annually, this year it's budgeted for $7,000, and then next year it's going to be budgeted for $8,100.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the interlocal contract for licensing South Central Planning and Development Commission software, which will allow the importation of data from SAFE software to My Government Online.
Got a motion?
Second.
We didn't get a second, so the motion fails for lack of a second. Sorry.
Well, it is something that we do have in our budget already that was approved. And we've been having lots of problems with our current program database. I know IT, we call them constantly because it's always crashing. And so we're trying to move forward to a more modern direction.
Is there a competitor out there that we can compare it to, or?
Yes, and they cost even more.
Right,
So I did not go with that company. 'Cause the-
but if it works better,
How about we do a demonstration? Can we get it?
Would you like them to come? Is that what y'all would like to see? Have them-
well, they're salesmen and stuff. I'd like to see you work it.
Or, as I'm looking back at the, whatever his title is at the city, we can just log on to the cities and go through it on there. It's just free. We can just try to do a septic permit on the city system and see how.
Well, right now, the septic has to come through us with the city of Kirkland because we're
Well,
the
something.
authorized
Do
agent.
an irrigation permit. You can do any permit, pick any permit you want. Yeah. All right, and do a permit so we can see how the process works. 'Cause I've been on and, you know, it's,
I mean, are
I
we
don't-
able to apply for a permit if we're not really getting a permit?
Well, we just don't punch the last one that's at the
I mean, it's, you know, I'm not totally against it. It's just, I don't want it to be mandatory. And, because I think that there's a, you know, we are a growing county, and I see the need to move towards technology, but at the same time.
I agree.
There are a lot of small contractors of various types, and, you know, some of the stuff is more difficult. And I don't want to be pushing in that direction either. So,
Let me just cut to the chase, actually. This is a 5-member court, and we didn't even get a second. So you need to do some work educating people up here as to why this system is what we need. So we'll just need some time to get people comfortable with this. We can bring it back if we find them support.
Very good.
Okay.
another.
The next item on the agenda is a timed item. Even though we have our guests here, you're going to have to sit and wait until 11 o'clock. So we're in recess until 11 o'clock.
gonna do what?
Okay, court will come back to order. Next item is 118, presentation by the City of Kerrville regarding possible county participation in TERS-related workforce housing project. Michael Hornis.
Judge, Commissioners, thank y'all for taking the time. We certainly appreciate it. The City Council voted on first reading of an ordinance to create tax increment reinvestment zone number 2 for us, and that would be for the proposed Lennar development that is behind Peterson. And as a part of that motion, they asked us to come and speak to y'all about possibly participating in the TERS with us. So with that, go to the next slide there. So briefly, we'll go over the concept of the TERS, the process by which it's created, outline what this proposed TERS looks like, talk about next steps, and then have questions. We'll be here to take those from y'all, and I wanted to highlight the attorney for Lennar Development, James McKnight, is here, and he'll probably have a few words once I'm finished. And he can answer all of your questions, and I'll just step outside. Okay? All right, go to the next slide. So what is the reason that we're discussing this with Lennar? The main reason is what we have heard from our community about workforce housing and the issues that are created by not having a place for those folks to live. And so when I talk to Peterson Hospital or the State Hospital or James Avery or Killdeer Mountain Manufacturing, any of those major employers in town, they all tell me the same thing, that the number one reason that they're having limitations on the ability to retain employers is that they can't afford housing in Kerrville. And this would be a vehicle that we could use to rebate Lennar so they could drive down the price of that home, so that way the range of those houses would be within what is considered affordable under HUD and TDHCA standards, which is between 80 and 120%. I would much prefer those to be closer to 80, but the realities of the world that we live in, they don't really even talk about 80 anymore. They talk about limiting that under the 120 mark. So we have a relationship with Lennar. The city had about 30 acres that we granted over to Lennar, provided they meet a whole set of measurables. So they're currently under construction, as everybody has seen probably on Loop 534. So they're slated to build 130 homes out there and sell those homes for under that cap that TDHCA sets. So haven't issued any certificates of occupancy yet, but we are in process, and they haven't closed on houses, but they've sold. This is an interesting one because I get this question a lot. This has been a opportunity that was open to developers in town, specifically with that initial property for the Ridgeland development, and we weren't able to find anyone that could accommodate it. And Lennar came through the doors and they said we could do this, and so we entered into that agreement with them. So the next question I got is, why hasn't this been opened up to other developers for this second phase? Well, we don't control the property. Lennar is purchasing that property, and so they have requested, hey, now that we're working on phase 1, we'd like to move into phase 2 of this process. So you can move on to the next slide. So what is a TERS? Tax increment financing is what it is, and it's a tool that both the city and the county could avail themselves to. And it's governed by Chapter 311 in the Texas Code. There's about 350 of these within the state of Texas. It is a tool that is used for the specific purposes of paying for public works, public improvements. We utilize TERS number 1 as an economic development program, kind of an incentive for public infrastructure that we can make better downtown, or to incentivize folks who are business developers to come into town. That's what TERS number 1 is for. This one has a singular purpose. They would put in their public infrastructure, and then they would get that public infrastructure cost rebated back to them annually through their property tax. So it can be formed solely by a city or a county. it can be formed with partnerships with both. The funding mechanism is basically set up through, the picture does everything, but essentially there's the base value of the property right now, which is a little less than $1 million. And the way the TERS works is that base year tax continues to go to the city, the county, the school district as it is, and then everything above that is considered the increment. And so whatever percentage the city decides to, in this iteration, the city decides to apportion out, that percentage would go into a TERS fund, and the remaining percentage would go into our general fund. And then that would exist through the life of this TIF. And then once that's completed, the full valuation of the project would go onto the rolls. That's a whole lot of words. Let's go to the next slide and we can show you what that is. All right, your base year is that purple section. Your increment is everything that's created after that. So, like I said, that base year for this property is just under $1 million. The incremental value is created through the end of the year. Let's say Lennar built 60 homes. They have $19 million worth of valuation on those properties. That is the increment. And a portion goes to the TIF fund, a portion goes to the city's general fund coffer, and the developer puts in application to rebate them back that portion that that is available. We'll go to the next one. So, what is the process by which the TERS is created? So there's a creation ordinance that attaches a project and financing plan. And so if the city decides they want to do it and they pass it, the finance plan, which is called the preliminary finance plan, and we'll go over the mechanics in the next couple of slides, becomes a final financing plan, and that's the mechanics by which the developer is paid back. So it can't deviate from that without expressed authority by the city council and by the board of the TERS. What does it have inside it? It's got the boundary, the term, the board, and the preliminary financing project plan. We'll go to the next slide. So, I think everybody knows the property that we're talking about, but that blue area is surrounding the middle school. So you got Loop 534 on the right side there, Olympic Drive on the other side. This is property that's currently owned by Shriner University. They're going to retain that portion in the back that is white, as well as that light blue portion, which is designated as commercial property. And it's about 100 acres. The base year is this year, provided this happens within this actual year. The assumptions for this presentation are that it's going to be a 27-year term. And we have, and just because we're going through this exercise, we have an assumption here of 50% participation with the city and 25% participation with the county. So what would that actually look like? We'll go to the next slide. This is just an iteration of what the development's going to look like. It has 6 different phases. So phase 1 would start off on Loop 534, and then it would go kind of northwest. Those 2 phases go into the back of the property, and then phase 2 is 2A, B, and C. Are those last sections going to the southwest towards Olympic Drive. The minimum lot size they have for the properties are 35 feet wide, which is a little narrow, not quite as small as y'all usually allow in the county, but that's the purpose. So denser development has to push towards the city. It can't be out in the county where it's not allowed. 40% of the homes are going to be required to be at least 45 feet wide, and the rest of the homes can be anywhere between that 45 and 35 feet. It is proposed to be 500 homes. Right now it's 511. And the current limit on that number with TDHCA, and it's real hard for me to say this out loud, and I said this at the council meeting, is $275,000. That is what's considered attainable. When I bought my first home, it was $80 grand. And my father bought his first house, I think I said this a few times, paid 12 blueberries for it. You know, it's just it's such a big change over time, but these numbers continue to grow. And they base these numbers based off the median income in Kerr County, which this year is $84,600 based on what TDHCA has said. Go to the next slide. All right, so there's a lot going on here, but the way that we've set this up and what this shows is basically the breakout and the payouts to the developers, and there's one correction in here on that green column that y'all have, which is the county estimated revenue. That says 25% on the right, that should say 75%. So, looking at this big table right here, what you'll see is in 2026, the valuation of that property go from nothing to 19.5 million essentially. And each year up until 2033, it increases by about $20 million, with the last year being a little bit less. And those represent the number of houses that are built each year. So it takes about 10 years for this process to go all the way through to full build. And then as it moves on into 2052, which is 27 years from now, it incrementally increases that valuation, okay? And then right of that, you'll see the increment in the growth. So it's 20 million, 20 million, 20 million, then it goes up 1.5 up to 1.8. To the right of that are the developer's estimated revenues in that yellow column there. And so the breakdown, as you see, is 50% coming from the city, 25% of the county's portion going in, and then the total annual estimated revenues that the developer would be reimbursed. Bottom numbers are the ones that we can get down to. The estimate for the city is 8.158. The county's is 3.287. This is over 27 years. Now the city's portion that goes back to us would be that exact same amount, 8.158. And the county's portion that would be generated into the county's coffers would be 9.863. Now these are all estimates. We have to make guesses on the valuations of the homes, the property tax rates that we have, property tax rates that you all have as well. But that's the nature of this. We just don't know. We know that we have about a 2 to 3% decrease in our M&O rate over each year. And so 2 to 3% of so it's 41 cents. So next year it's, or 40 cents, yeah. And next year it's 39.6. So not 3 cents decrease, 3% decrease. So we have to make these assumptions to come up with this financing plan. Go to the next slide. And here you have just a representation of what that looks like as the values increase and increase and increase. They hit kind of a cap, and then they increase rapidly for about 10 years, and then they slowly appreciate over time. And go to the next slide. So we have come to y'all to consider this. And so where we are, we've gone through a first reading in City Council with the creation ordinance. They asked us to come speak to y'all to see if you'd be willing to participate. The next steps after that would be, depending on y'all's consideration, we take it back to council, and we either have a city ask of 75% and we fund it by ourselves, or we have a combination where it's 50% of the city's taxes and 25% of the county's taxes that would go towards this. And I don't think we need to go to the next slide. And that is it. So that's all I've got. James is far more articulate than I am and far more ready to answer these questions from y'all. So I'll turn it over to him. And Mr. Harris.
Yes, if you don't mind, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir, please.
What kind of vetting process did you put Lennar homes through? I mean,
in terms of
what did y'all look at to go forward with this?
Well, so for Ridgeland, for the first development that they're currently going through, the ability for them to produce was the main factor. The ability for them to produce and to put out that product at a price point that was within the threshold. Now, when this was all started, that threshold was $185,000 to $227,000. That was 4 or 5 years ago. And so we vetted the opportunities for other folks to come in and do this. We got no responses.
Right.
Right. They are the largest production builder in America. And so when they came through the doors, they said, no, we can do this and we can create a product that you all can turn around. City Council looked at the layouts that they created and said this would be amenable. And so they turned around and they started on that first section. So now that they're working through that process, they come to us and said, hey, we'd like to do phase 2 of this. So,
Well, just quite frankly, I did a quick search on reviews for them, and I could not find anything favorable. In fact, they looked awful as far as what they do, their reputation. And that was quick, simple.
sure.
I mean, anybody could do it. I got some printouts to share with y'all, and their track record looked atrocious.
I can't speak to that. I can speak to the experience that we've seen so far and what I've seen in other cities that we've done business with them. You know, they're a tract home builder, right?
Sure.
They're not custom homes.
Right.
So when you look at a KB Homes, you look at a Lennar, you look at this, you'll run the gamut.
I know.
Right. I had a project in Live Oak, Texas, over in Northeast San Antonio before I came here. We were doing a development with MI Homes. That was the builder. They weren't the developer, but they were the builder. And you saw 180 degrees of consideration. Oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. My God, I couldn't stand this. I hate it. I'm not sure. You know, what I've seen so far, the build outs that they're doing, we had our building department out there videotaping their inspections because we had some concerns from one of the council members, so we'll be bringing that up at either the next or the following council meeting after that. But same as everybody else, if they fail inspections based on our minimum standards, they're gonna have to go back and fix it. If they don't, and they met those standards, they're putting out a product that we say is you have to meet this, and they are doing that. I don't know what I can do past that, right? The lots are a little smaller, right? The land is not as big, there's not as much grass, which we actually don't mind. But sometimes I feel like it's hard to put the expectation that it's gonna meet our needs in my mind, you know, of what I expect a $275,000 house to be. But people are buying. I've got a ton of folks here in town who say I'm happy to come in and buy these if they're made available. So, but I can't speak to the negative reviews.
I know the needs here. I'm just worried about who you climb in bed with.
Yes, sir.
Michael, you gave the numbers, but I didn't write them down quick enough. How many acres is in the first phase and how many homes?
30 is the first one, ish. 130 homes.
Of which they've built how many?
They're probably at 40 at this point, under either mostly complete or under construction. And I can get y'all an exact count after.
I stopped by and walked through a few of them. Let's just say it wasn't impressive, but nice starter home.
I think the
Hard to imagine the
couple
kid
things.
they're asking.
Michael came or mentioned this to me, we talk about other issues frequently, a couple months ago.
Yes, sir.
And we talked about bringing it in September. I think I mentioned it to the court. Certainly last meeting, maybe even before that this is something that was going to come our way at some point. So it's I just didn't think it was right to have this coming right in the middle of our budget process. We had enough headaches at that time without looking at something new like this. Yeah, conceptually, you know, I agree that we need to push development, density development into the city from a water standpoint and from a property land use standpoint. You know, I can see a value here, but I'm big into precedent, and we've never done anything similar to this on real estate. We've looked at several things along the lines, and we've never decided that real estate is, you know, where we should go on. I would consider this kind of economic development. It's workforce housing, but it's for economic development reasons primarily. There's a hurdle for me to get over mentally. The other thing is, I guess it's just so hard to swallow that $275,000 is a workforce development home. I mean, you know, I hear you saying that, and I guess that's what it is, but it just seems really expensive for the product that's out there.
One of the things, if you don't mind,
Sure.
one of the prospect, or one of the ways that Lennar is able to navigate in this environment a little differently is that they have bought down mortgage rates through some business model that they have. And so one of the conversations that I had last week was, well, what does this look like from an APR standpoint? And one of the conversations the mayor had was somebody was trying to buy a $250,000 house versus $275 checked against the interest rates, and the payments ended up being the same because the interest rate difference with Lennar being able to buy that down was a way that they could additionally help make that affordable. So they have, right now they're at 4.5% for their interest rate, but I never like that number because then it's, the APR is the actual number, right? You got your points from the bank and all the rest of it. Housing's too complicated, real estate to me, by the way. But at 20% down, just because I ran through the iterations, which is a hard number to go. 275, somebody's got to come up with $50,000, $55,000, which is a significant amount. But just so we didn't have to have like PMI in part of it, their mortgage and interest, their principal and interest would be $1,222. Now that's not counting the taxes, that's not counting the insurance or HOA fees or anything like that. And that's at a 5.3% rate, which is basically their APR rate. When I'm looking this morning at the rates around town, it's anywhere between 7.1, 7.6, depending on where you're at. That number jumps up to 1,450 or 1,500, depending on what that rate looks like. So that's a significant delta for somebody. Now their whole payment's still going to be close to $2,000 or over, with all the rest of those things, with insurance, with home ownership, with PMI if they don't have 20%, right? But that ability to lower that interest rate really goes a long way with, monthly expenses. Sorry, I was long-winded.
What kind of, controls do you have in whatever agreement you're gonna sign with Lennar that their price point stays at 275, or is it just you're gonna allow it to go up to whatever the market dictates?
So that's the way the agreement was set up initially, and that's the way we proposed it to move forward, was they can increase that value annually as the number changes from HUD and from TDHCA. So it wouldn't be static at $275,000. It would appreciate as that number changes. So I would love to keep it at 275, but over 10 years, 275, heck, I think $200,000 home 10 years ago here is probably $400,000 now in that short amount of time. So it's a big difference, and I'm hopeful that those interest rates don't, or those changes don't continue at such a rapid pace. But that's what we have in place, that it can't exceed that limit from TDHCA.
And I think, I don't know anything about Lennar, never looked anything up about them, so don't, kind of comment on that one way or the other, but I mean, I agree there's a need. We need to have more workforce housing. I'm just not sure that it's something that the county wants to get involved with. But we clearly, our rules will not allow this in the county, so it's not even a start over there. What percent of the homes have to be built at that 275, or how is that number grows? Is it 100%, 80%?
We set it up at 100%.
So that 100% of the houses have to be at or below that number?
Yeah, yes, sir. And one other thing I would mention is, we've gone through this iteration, trying to solve this question. It's not no silver bullet answer. Trying to get apartment builders to build right now, because that's another component to workforce housing is apartment builders, right? And the capital stack that apartment builders have, the equity that apartment builders have to come up with for the banks now has increased significantly the amount of money they have to show up at the table for. That combined with the interest rates that they have to pay, we're not seeing them build. And I would love to be able to come back here and say, hey, we've got a 250 unit apartment that's going up, because that's gonna solve a lot of those issues, right? It's not gonna get somebody home ownership, but it's gonna solve part of that issue. And at this point, we're really just not seeing that happen. So I've got homes being constructed that are working towards solving that issue, and they're saying they want to come back and do it again. And I have no other guarantees from anybody else that they're ready to come back and do it.
Will all of the streets become city streets, or will they be private?
Yeah, they'll be city streets, yes, sir.
City streets?
Yeah.
So it'll all be built with sidewalks and drainage and...
That's correct. There's no parks in it, but there's a 100-acre park half a mile away at Singing Wind Park.
And to get the price point of 275, you have to have the density as dense as it is?
Their proposal initially, we started talking about this one 2 years ago, was 480 units. The city council went through an iteration of, well, can we make them 2-story? And they said, well, yeah, we can, and the lots will be 25 feet wide. And we went through that whole iteration, and yeah, everybody's shaking their head. Everybody here was shaking their head, but we asked them to make them 2 stories, and they said, well, to make it work, this would be our model for that. That would still be within that $275,000 range. So it had gone up to as high as 700, and everybody got real scared about that number because that was too many. And so it came back down to that 490 to 510 range.
Is this Mr. McKnight?
If y'all are ready, he's got some words. Yep, got some words.
Good morning, everyone. James McKnight. So I'm the land use attorney for Lennar. So Lennar is my client. I just want to make clear that I am not a direct Lennar employee, so I can't answer for all of the issues they've had with the complaints on the housing. I'll say that they are a large company, so it's not strange to hear those kinds of complaints before. There is a specific kind of market that Lennar is going after when it comes to these homes. They are the only ones that can make the kind of capital investment the size of this company to make these homes, to create the home in a certain price range, and to deliver the homes in this area. You know, you talked about density, the number of lots needed. That's because there is a diversity of lots in there. We're committing to a certain amount that are over 45 feet wide. There's some down to 35 feet wide. You have to have that mix in there. That provides some of that density, but that mix provides the ability to have all of the housing units that we can get on the ground. But with the interest rates the way they are, even with Lennar's ability to do large development, we still can't quite meet everything without the participation. It has to be a public-private participation. It has to have the city's participation, in this case we're asking for the county's participation, to get that price down. And we're still making huge capital investments up front. We're still building all of the roads that are necessary and getting that paid back over time. You can see the amount of money, the $12 million that's getting paid back. That's over 27 years. I mean, Lennar, again, is the only one that can do that, can put forth the money, can put everything out there and build the homes now with the promise of getting that back over time. And that's just because of our volume. But it really does provide this benefit. We're doing it in San Antonio. I'm doing Eagle Pass, El Paso, I mean, all over the state. You're seeing the need for this kind of participation, just so you can drive those prices down. And as Michael said, we can also buy down some of the mortgage rates. That helps us as well. But it's for a specific market. It's for this first-time home buyers or folks that can't quite get in, where you're seeing the housing prices go everywhere else. So, you know, we're looking at a 1,200 to 1,800 square foot home in a neighborhood of 500 homes in a diverse range of 35 to 45 foot homes. Yes, sir.
What was the size of those?
1,200 square feet to 1,800 square feet. So on the 35 foot lots, you get the smaller home, 12 to 1,400 square foot home. And they have models that can accommodate all these. But even with the size of an areas, even all the things they can do, it still requires some participation to drive those rates down. And one thing that's really skipped over, I think, a lot of times is the commitments that Lennar is putting forward, not just in terms of building all of the roads, but the city is able to commit us to a certain number of lots, a certain number of homes, certain timing on when we have to start, certain timing when we have to complete. Those are things you just don't get in any other housing complex, but we're committing to all of those things up front. And I think that helps really show our commitment to the project as a whole. And there are all kinds of things that you can put into a development agreement, commitments that we can put in there that help with the process. But I think it's important to mention, because otherwise you just get a housing development that just starts building. So he laid out all the slides already, so I'm not going to show you any of the numbers, but I'm here to answer the questions.
Any questions?
What's of the 275,000 price point, what percent of that's land cost versus construction cost?
I actually don't know. That is one of those things that is, if the Lennar representative was here, he could answer the question, but I don't know.
Give me a second. I think it's about 64,000. Land.
Any other questions? Thank you. We have two members of the public that want to talk. Terry Hall's first.
Good morning, Commissioners. Terry Hall at 118 Independence. I'm speaking on behalf of We the People, Liberty and Action, as well as my statewide organization called Texas Turf. We have long opposed tax increment finance loans of any kind, whether it's a TIRZ or a TRZ, or in fact in litigation with the state of Texas right now to keep counties from having this authority to do a transportation reinvestment zone for the same reasons why we oppose this TIRZ. It's a debt instrument that benefits developers at taxpayers' expense. Because the zone ties up tax funds that would normally be going to fund county basic services for decades, it takes that tax money away from those services, thereby increasing taxes on everybody else to have to fill that gap to provide services to that new development. So you're basically asking us, existing homeowners, to pay higher property tax to help new residents get a cheaper home. That is the absolute height of insulting and unfair. You're asking us to fill the gap. And it's also exactly what we said when we came here during the budget process would happen. That as soon as you increase property tax and make housing that much more unaffordable, you're going to come back at us again and find another way to increase our property taxes to now subsidize cheaper housing because we can't afford to have housing. There's no affordable housing in Kerrville. Y'all create the mess and you keep wanting the taxpayers to bail you out of it. There was plenty of opposition to it at the city level. They just rammed it through anyway. Now they're coming to the county wanting the same thing. And we're here to tell you the citizens don't want this. Nobody wants their property tax to go up so that Lennar Homes can make a bunch more money. It's not right, and it's actually hurting the Republican brand. Have y'all heard of Colony Ridge? It is a major scandal that is now making national news here in Texas, in Liberty County, and we've had Tucker Carlson talking about it, Epic Times is talking about it, it is all over the place. I believe even Fox News is doing stories on it. Governor Abbott has now added it to the third special, or to this special session happening right now for that very reason. And the legislators that created this mess are the ones that are in seriously hot water with everyone all over the state of Texas for what's happening and allowing that developer to basically create a substandard subdivision that is now, I believe it's 4 times the amount of people in their school district, and they have huge crime problems, massive problems over there where it's basically creating an illegal haven outside of the Houston area.
Terry, can I ask you a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it Lennar Homes in the Liberty County deal?
You know what? I'd have to get back to you on that.
That's okay.
And I will be happy to do that. But ultimately, what we oppose to all of this, in addition to the fact that it's going to increase everybody's taxes, is these boards are created and the developers sit on the boards. They determine all the terms, all the rates, all the bond debt, everything else, and we can't hold them accountable in any way, shape, or form, nor does this come to the voters for us to say, yes, thumbs up or thumbs down. It's completely wrong the way this is going, it's backwards. So we want it to stop here at the county level. The city may have made a really disastrous decision, but that doesn't mean that you all should get wrapped up in this. It's extremely controversial, and I don't want to, I'm not overstating this. Go read about Colony Ridge right now. You can look it up on your phone, and you will see what a disaster this has created on a national scale of what Texas has allowed to have happen through these types of districts and tax increment type of zones. Now that was a MUD, but we long opposed those. In fact, yours truly is who got it in the Republican platform years ago to oppose these municipal utility districts that are set up the same way. They're all just lipstick on some other version of a pig. So with that, please don't do it.
George Baruti.
George Baruti, 1616 Glen Road, so I didn't bring my lipstick, so let's have to deal with the pig as it is. I'm opposed to using TERS tax money, any tax money, to subsidize housing. So I'd be against the TERS in general, which I've already stated to the council. But here, what you guys are being asked to do is a little bit, I think, crazy to me. You were just described a situation where the city has already approved on first reading the creation of this TERS and basically the guidelines to how this is going to be rebated back to Lennar. What they're now doing is coming to you and asking, hey, can you help us out, because we've kind of overstretched ourselves and we'd rather you guys pitch into something that we've already committed to. It seems silly that a county resident, for instance, would say, okay, why would you guys join and partner with this if you haven't been asked to partner with it before? Why should they pay into a system that's already been decided and it's already been committed to? So even if the city has requested this beforehand, why did they move forward without you and then come to you at the last minute? I feel bad for Mr. Hornis to have to come here. It wasn't his idea to come this late, I'm sure. I'm sure somebody in council or somebody along the way said, have you asked the county? And he was basically directed to come here. So I don't fault him for doing that. But a couple of things that were shown in the slides, you would have lost them in the numbers, is the amount of rebate that's going to come to the developer over the term of this is grossly understated in the numbers that were presented. They describe a growth of assessed value of 1% each year. After the thing is fully built out, it's just natural growth. And truly, the assessed value isn't the issue. The issue is how much revenue, tax revenue, is being collected from each of these entities. And the city is in a path of collecting about 3% growth every year of new revenue. That means 3% growth going into the TERS. So the amount of rebate that's going to go to Lennar is way more than what's being presented. The city presented a number of around 12.5 million. It's actually closer to 17. Very potentially, I mean, obviously nobody knows what the growth is going to be, but the trend is that it's going to be closer to 17 million. And nowhere in the city's contract is there a cap on how much rebate can go back to them. It's just 27 years, all of it goes to, I mean, 75% goes to the developer. That seems crazy to me. The other is, we talk about everybody that, you know, we're bringing the price point down. Well, in this particular scenario, what's going on is the sale price to the home buyer is $275, but the market rate for that house is being assessed at, or being projected as $320. That's what Lennar has presented in his TERS numbers. So there's a gap of about $45,000. Guess what the amount of the incentive that's being given from the public is? It's about $45,000 per home. So the community is still paying the same amount for these homes. So this business model doesn't work as far as moving the needle for housing costs in this community, whether it's city, county, or otherwise. So I would urge you not only to turn this down, but any other project that comes forward regarding housing and tax rebates, just turn it down. It's a bad business model. It doesn't work. Thank you.
Any other discussion? We do have this on the agenda for an executive session. This is the last thing we have on the agenda. Is there anything else to say publicly? Going once? Very well. And the court will take a 5-minute recess and we will reconvene in executive session. Executive session, and there is no action to be taken.
I will make a comment that, while you had that agenda item on, and this is to go back to the city, is that, I can't really, I think the whole court probably agrees with this in general, but we understand there's a huge need for workforce housing in this community. And we would want to keep the door open or start to open the door with the city to figure out how best to do it. We think something's needed. This one, for me, this one just doesn't quite get to where I want to be. But the need is there, and we understand it, and we understand that we need to look at these projects, and maybe we can get together ahead of time as to where we can work together on projects.
And to follow up on that, so that you do get some meaningful feedback. You remember the meetings we had over in your house on the public finance?
Yes, sir.
I would describe the appetite of this court of this particular project to be relatively low. The appetite for higher density is much more appealing.
Okay, I can work with that.
Everything, all options are on the table. We just.
No, I appreciate that.
And on our, we're telling you is that we're more interested in apartments than we are 1,200 square foot houses for teachers.
And one thing I failed to mention is that this is something that y'all could participate in after the fact as well. So it doesn't, I mean, our hope for my discussion, my purpose is I have to speak to y'all before council considers it. But for the purposes of participation in the TERS, it can come after it is created, and so not to bring that up. I know we kind of threw this at y'all, right? So
Well, what we want the city to know is we understand the dilemma that we have. And we understand at some point there probably is going to have to be some sort of public participation to help with this workforce housing problem. This was not the right project. So we're still at the table. We wish you the best. We'll do what we can to help. But in terms of participating in the TERS right now, the answer, we don't have anything that we want to do.
Well, we appreciate y'all taking the time to consider it.
Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned.